Hey guys, this is Market Update. This Clarity Act thing is a bit of a mess at this point, right? And you can tell that the market makers are calling the price up and down dependent on what they think may happen. I'll get onto this all in a second, but I don't think we can climb out of this bear market and start a new bull market until the certainty of Clarity Act. So either it does or it doesn't go through. Either way, the certainty of it can just put that behind us and we can start to price some other event. But at the moment, you've got a short-term uncertain event. The market's always soft into that, and it just is what it is. I'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of pricing of Bitcoin, I think it's pretty easy to see where the market is. And I think you sell 100 and you buy 50. You can see that here. So in the previous bull market, you had these big awakening events, which is long-term holders just getting out, right? So you had a lot of dip buyers here starting to get out. You can see the age bands here. You just had a huge amount of selling. So that was a really good bull market, and you had just people saying, yeah, I'll sell out. Now, these guys were a bit early, right? I mean, selling at 40K. So they might have bought the dip, bought the bottom here and sold for a small profit. Don't really understand that sort of thing. Why do you not want a bigger profit? You just wait longer, but yeah, it's fine. I get it. And you have some distributions here on these kind of swings. So sellers were at 100, right? They were saying, I'm going to trade the ETFs. These were ETF traders who bought the dip and then sold the ETF news. And this was a huge upswing in price. So obviously a lot of people were incentivized to sell. And here, I guess these were 4-year cycle sellers, right? Because this was a 4-year cycle. So you've got different cohorts of sellers just coming in at each time. If you see here though, these are CoinDays destroyed. These sellers came in, sure, but they've completely disappeared. And this is a Bitcoin cycle. This is literally the cycle played out. Prices go up, which incentivizes selling, which you had here. Now for every sell, there's a buy. So you have a bull market where people buy, and then here it's all gone. 50, 100 is the level, right? 50 is 50 and 100. 100, you've got sellers, and around there, 50, the sellers have gone. And what you have is buyers. Obviously everyone's trading here, but volume's down. You can see loads of crypto exchanges going bust and shutting their doors, right? So volumes are down. That's a bear market. Volume down, price soft. That is a bear market. And we're in it. And the price level you can pretty much see is 50 to 100. So is 63 a good price? It's around there, right? Like you're buying it or not. I don't get it. Like if you're sensitive about 60 or 50, I get it if you're short-term trading. But if you're looking at a 10-year difference, 50 or 63, this is the zone where you buy because it's a bear market. You can very clearly see it from all of this data, right? We're in a bear market. We're in the region of it. I think it's a decent price. You've got to have a 10-year view with this stuff. I don't see how you can day trade all of this short-term price movements is such a volatile asset. This is the bear market. Buy it and shut your eyes. Same if the Nasdaq's in a bear market, right? You can't day trade AI trades and semiconductor news flows. It's impossible, right? You have to just buy this stuff, 10-year view. We're in the zone. I think it's okay. If you do trade Bitcoin, crypto, TradFi assets as well, commodities, everything, you can trade on Bybit. Click the link in the description and you'll get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus when you're a new user when you click that link. I think the most unbelievable thing is that Bitcoin is like a metronome and it's just carrying on its 4-year cycle no matter what, same as every other time, right? We had these bull markets here where we topped out around these levels, same as here. We had these bear markets, same as here. And now are we in the sideways chop phase, the real bottoming phase, where everyone gets bored to death? Well, that could happen for another 100 days. So another 3 months, 4 months, that's fine. Summer's not going to really do much, right? If clarity gets pushed out to the autumn, is that a catalyst? And if it does go through, would that see us into the new bull market as the price recovers? It's kind of unbelievable. The bear market roundup here, a lot of layoffs, headcount reductions, winding down of operations. These are lagging indicators. These happen usually towards the end of a bear market. There are lots of on-chain and real-world examples of this bear market being very mature. And this is usually, towards the end, right? You don't get this at the start of bear markets, right? This is usually towards the end. This is a lagging indicator. So it's kind of wild to think that it's just going to play out potentially the exact same as every other cycle, like a metronome. I can wait a few more months, to be honest, and I'm totally happy with it. I've got no intention of selling in the next few years anyway. So another few months of soft prices. Soft, we're at 60K. This is not exactly soft, is it? We're at 60K. I'm happy for it to be soft or lower than this for the next few months. That's fine by me. Look, clarity is a mess, but basically the whole financial industry, except for the banks, is now behind clarity, putting their weight behind it. I don't see how you get massive industry-wide support for a bill and then it doesn't go through. But this is about power and control, as everything is. So Franklin Templeton supports Clarity. Importantly, BlackRock now support it, and they've come out. So you can see here, BlackRock Senior Managing Director. It's an important step towards establishing a framework. So they support it. Schwab, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, and BlackRock are behind this thing. How on earth does this thing not go through, right? Well, unfortunately, some of the banks probably don't like this, and it's a fight, isn't it, between right and left? So we're at the center of it. Unfortunately, you've got a few other bills that are probably way more important, right? The SAVE Act and the sanctions bill here. Hard choices on priorities have to be set for the larger agenda. You've got some acts that are much bigger than Clarity, to be fair. Clarity is big for us, but these two are probably bigger, than Clarity itself. So in terms of the timing, right, even if Clarity were brought up today, the procedural steps make it very, very hard for it to actually go through. So I know many people are disappointed it won't clear by early August. That does not mean that Clarity is done for the year. Senate staff continue building towards consensus. We can still set up quicker movement in September. So September there. Just going back to the 4-year cycle, which would be around here. And if it does go through in September, that's a catalyst to start moving higher in price. It's pretty insane how this is all working out, to be honest. I can't wait for all this to be done, and I don't think crypto can move on from this until it's over one way or another. Unfortunately, look, the act is fine, right? From what I've read, it's totally fine. For example, the one reason, if there's one for the Clarity Act to go through, is the segregation of customer assets. So right now in the States, usually with a broker, if you trade stocks or anything like that, the way it works is that you use a brokerage, you have assets on there. And legally, your assets in the brokerage account should be legally separate from the balance sheet of the broker. So if the broker goes bust, your assets technically aren't held by them. They're held by a separate legal structure, which means the broker can go bankrupt and bust. Your assets are there. You can take them out to another broker and you're fine. Unfortunately, right now for crypto, that isn't how it works in the States. So if you have your assets in Coinbase, and Coinbase go bust, your assets are theirs, and you're part of the bankruptcy estate. This should not be how it works, but it is right now. The one thing in the Clarity Act says, let's separate client assets from the assets of the business. This is a massive, if there's even one reason why it should go through, that's it. The UAE even brought this through this year. Binance have signed up for this, where if you hold your assets at Binance, your assets are legally separate from their business. So even if the Binance brokerage went bust, your assets wouldn't be part of their bankruptcy estate. And so this is really important for the US. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of a massive battle for regulatory dominance, regulatory capture, and a battle of entrenched interests. New York has typically been the financial center, which means it has a massive chokehold on financial markets, and it doesn't want to give up the power it has. Now, the New York Attorney General is Letitia James, who's a Democrat, and the Republicans want this to go through. Because if you look, who does the Clarity Act actually support? Well, it supports less power in New York and more power in a decentralized fashion. And you've got BlackRock and Citadel, I believe, setting up an exchange in Texas. You can see what's happening here, right? They're trying to move the power out. And of course, New York doesn't want the power to leave. So you've got this battle, which is much bigger than just consumer protections in Clarity. If New York didn't have an ulterior motive here, then I might believe what she's saying, etc., right? So you've got the left, who are currently in charge in New York. Letitia James, New York Attorney General, doesn't want to give up their power that they have over financial markets. And the Clarity Act is part of that, which is the other side. So unfortunately, consumer protections are only going to be passed if this battle can somehow work itself out. So having BlackRock and Fidelity and Schwab and Goldman Sachs support this, yeah, they would, because they would have more power if the Clarity Act goes through. That doesn't mean it will go through, because unfortunately the Democrats have to vote it through. Are they going to get this, or is the party going to say no, we don't want to relinquish power? So this is much bigger than, unfortunately, it's not just consumer protections. This is a power play, and we're going to have to just see how this plays out if it does go positively for us or not. If you do trade Bitcoin or crypto or anything else, you can click the link in the description, sign up to Bybit, make a deposit. They'll give you a deposit bonus to trade with. Anything you deposit, they will give you a bonus up to 30,000. I'm James, it's Manzi G. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.